Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, and we'd like to hear the national anthem and the land acknowledgement. So please rise for the playing of the national anthem.
To acknowledge that we are here today on the traditional territory
of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
Nous tenons à reconnaître que
nous sommes sur le territoire traditionnel
des Mississaugas de la Première Nation de Credit.
Thank you. Before we approve the agenda, we have two additions, or one submission and one addition. 9.2, the appointment of the student trustees. We now have that in front of us, as well as 12.2, OSPA Connects, 12.2, which we'll add. So I'd like to go through approval of the agenda. So to start that off, I'll go through my list. And do I have approval of the agenda, Trustee Sohi?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I have to put it on the floor first. Trustee Sohi, would you put it on the floor?
Yes, please.
Trustee Andrews, would you approve it or second it?
Yep. Yes, I will.
Okay, back to Trustee Sohi. Would you, are you in approval of the agenda?
Yes, sir. I'm in favor of the agenda.
Thank you. Trustee Andrews?
Yes, I approve the agenda.
Trustee John Marchand?
Approved.
Trustee K. McDonald?
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Crocker?
Approved.
Trustee Lawton?
Approved. Thank you.
Yeah, Trustee Benjamin?
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron?
In favor.
Trustee Davies?
Mr. Chair.
Trustee Green? Trustee McDonald both approve. And we have our student trustees. Trustee Aurora?
Approved.
Thank you. And Trustee Nar, non-binding vote.
Approved.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Chair. I'm told that the volume is very low, that the public can't hear.
Told that the volume, okay. He's heard that, and we'll update that. Thank you for that feedback, Trustee K. McDonald. So before we jump into it, I just want to let the audience know this is our second public meeting. We've moved into the virtual public meeting. Members of the public can continue to participate in public meetings by watching this live stream, and may make delegation presentations and or public questions electronically. As a reminder, members of the public who wish to submit a public question can email their full name and one question to publicquestions@peelsb.com anytime from the start of the meeting, which is now, up to the end of question period from the meeting. The questions will be read aloud during question period of the virtual board meeting, and a response will be provided. The chair may also delegate a member of staff or trustee to respond per Peel Board Bylaw G10. The duration of the public question period will be limited in total to a maximum of 15 minutes, unless extended at the discretion of the chair. If an immediate response is not able to be given, or the board is unable to respond to all the public questions received during the meeting within the 15-minute period, a response will be provided through email. So we're going to go on to our special presentation. I'd like Vice Chair Green, if you would like to introduce this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone that is watching this evening. And to all my colleagues, trustees this afternoon, it's a privilege and an honor for me to present a wonderful and awesome presentation tonight. On April 12th, an awesome teacher at Central Peel, Nicole Marquez, tweeted a presentation that was done by the regional string program student at Central Peel. The video that student performed was a Starship, Nothing Gonna Stop Us Now. And this was picked up by CBC, and this video was created during the first week of distant learning. How awesome it is to able to present the strings student from Central Peel this afternoon. I'm truly proud to represent the school. Thank you, Mr. Chair, as we listen to this awesome video.
Yeah, just please bear with us. We're finding the video. I think that was it, wasn't it? Right there? Yep.
We also want to show you this.
Turn it up, Mark, please.
Recognize the song? Not ever played like that. These are musicians from the Peel District School Board, students from the Strings program at Central Peel Secondary, in fact, and we're seeing these more and more, the virtual concerts, just love them. This is their rendition of Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, supposed to be performed at their choir at their concert this month at school. That was obviously canceled, so nothing's going to stop them from jamming out. Enjoy a little bit more for you here on CBC News Network.
Wow, that was in the first week. And what a great tune, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us. Well, we'll move on to declaration of conflict of interest. Do I have any conflicts of interest? Seeing none, I'll move on to a approval of the board minutes of April 15th. So Trustee Marchand, would you put that on the floor? Okay, sorry, you weren't.
On the floor, Chair.
Okay, Trustee McDonald, would you second that?
I will.
Okay, thank you. Starting from the top, Trustee Sohi, would you approve the minutes?
Approved. Thank you.
Trustee Andrews?
Yes, approved.
Trustee Marchand, approve?
Approved.
Trustee McDonald, approve?
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Crocker?
Yes.
Trustee Lawton?
Thank you, yes.
Thank you. Trustee Benjamin?
Yes, approved.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron?
Approve.
Thank you. Trustee Davies?
Mr. Chair.
Trustee Green? Yes. Trustee McDonald? Yes. Student Trustee Aurora, non-binding vote. Do you approve?
Yes, I approve. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And Trustee Nar, non-binding vote?
Yes, I approve, Chair.
Thank you. We have it approved, and we move on to item number 4. I'll go down the list and ask for Chair's request for written questions from trustees. Trustee Sohi, do you have any questions?
No, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Andrews?
No, Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Marchand.
Nothing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald.
Yes, Chair, I do. I have three questions from two parents.
So please, please state the question, and since there's written questions, please provide these questions by Friday so it can be processed and hopefully addressed in the next board meeting.
Absolutely, Chair. We heard concerns from the PDSB community members that they believe the HRCO independence is compromised.
Can we ask the question? We don't need the dialogue before.
I'm reading what the parents have asked me to read. So I'm not sure if they want me to edit their question.
Well,
it was submitted to me
can we just
by a parent.
Can we ask the question then, please, at the end?
Okay, so let me find out where the question actually begins.
Thank you.
But just out of curiosity, though, if a parent asks a question, why can't we read the question as the parent has written it? Why are we editing what the parent wants to say?
1%.
Because it's question period by trustees.
No, at my question period, it's not my question, because I have my questions or question periods that don't have preamble, but if the members of the public ask a question and it's submitted to me, I don't think it's the best practice to start editing what the public would like to say.
I'm sorry, but we have to follow our process. So if that question, typically when I get a question from a parent, I would forward it on to the superintendent that could answer the question. But you as a trustee know the rules, and you have to read through it and find the question and then ask the question, please.
But I wasn't aware that this new rule existed until about half an hour ago, and these questions were submitted the way they were written to me. And I think for the integrity of the process, I'd like to honor the question I was written. So going forward, when parents or any community member ask me to read a question for them, I would tell them that they can't have a preamble. They can only ask a question, because I'm not sure.
But it's no
what is it.
I appreciate your points, Trustee McDonald, but even public question period, we don't have preamble. It's supposed to be direct to the question, please. So if you could ask the question, we'll answer it. We can come back to you if you need time to go through and find the question of what's been given to you.
No, I'll go through. Just let me find them. So, how are we going to regain the trust of employees, families, and community when the Human Rights Commissioner and the Human Rights Commissioner Office have been protecting the interests of the director and board when their mandate is supposed to be support employees, families, and community?
Okay.
That's the first question. The second question is, what has the Human Resources Department done to ensure that interviews are currently taking place, are not being
what? Sorry, did we lose you?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to find that part of the question, so that's a preamble part. I'll have to come back to that question. The other question is, when a student is excluded from a classroom for any reason, is the parent not contacted? Question mark. I have heard from many parents and neighbors tell me that the PDSB administrators use the word in-school suspensions. Are in-school suspensions happening, and are they permitted under the Education Act?
That kind of question you could easily ask your superintendent. They would know the answer to that. So I would recommend in the future just forward that to the superintendent, and they would respond to that for you.
Do the lawyers we use have a deep understanding of anti-Black racism? When we get human rights cases based on anti-Black racism and discrimination, are they being...
So that unfortunately,
are they dealt with through... What's that?
you're talking about lawyers, so we're going to have to move that question to in committee, just to let you know, in camera.
So the member of the public cannot ask a question if the lawyers we use have an understanding of anti-Black racism. They're not allowed to know that, or is that part of our process for hiring lawyers?
We'll look into that, but I believe that will be answered in committee to you.
And could you please provide a written reason from a lawyer why the public does not have a right to understand, to gather deep understanding of the lawyers that the board are using, if that should be okay?
Okay, we'll look at it and see if it can be answered here in public or in committee. Thank you.
And yes, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. So, Trustee Crocker, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, Mark, could you turn the Vice Chair's microphone, Trustee or Vice Chair?
Mr. Chair, point of order here at this point. At this junction, it's a written question. Trustee have a written question. And how the process is, it's a written question that trustee normally present to the reporter, the board reporter, and then it's responded. Correct. It's responded. So just for clarification, so trustee understand, trustee normally, we have allowed it to happen, but trustee, it's a written question. So therefore, we need to understand that it's a question that it comes in the form of written and present to the board reporter. And when that present to the board reporter, then there will be an answer at the next meeting. So I just want to clarify that for the public and for everyone, for my colleagues, so they understand that it's clearly stated in the agenda, written question. So I just want to make sure that we understand that, please. Thank you.
Correct, and I appreciate that, Vice Chair. And when I started this off, I said they must be submitted to our board reporter by Friday, end of Friday, if the questions will even be addressed on the next board meeting, because they are written questions. They should be just forwarded to it. Trustee Lawton, do you have any written questions?
No, thank you, Chair.
Trustee Benjamin.
Yes, I have a question, Chair, and I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
During Police Appreciation Week, which is May 18th to 22nd, is it possible for is it possible for a family of school superintendents to organize some community events in family of schools, every family of schools, like parades, to boost positivity, connectivity, and promote school spirit while also maintaining social distancing?
Okay, please again submit that to our board reporter or Donna Baptiste, so we can have that included, hopefully with a response to the next board meeting. Trustee Cameron.
Okay, thank you.
No questions, Chair.
Trustee Davies.
It's time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Green. Trustee McDonald, or Chair, none. Student Trustee
excuse me, Chair. Sorry, excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
I picked out the question from the one that I was trying to get rid of the preamble part.
Okay.
So it says, when has the Human Resources Department, what has the Human Resources Department done to ensure that interviews that are currently taking place are not being reversed engineered for preferred candidates, and how will hiring manage accountability?
Okay, thank you.
How will hiring managers be accountable?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, please submit the written form to Donna Baptiste or the board reporter by Friday. Back to student trustee Aurora.
No questions, thank you, Chair.
Student trustee Nard, do you have any written questions?
No questions, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to Notice of motion and petitions, so item number 5. So, starting at the top of the list, Trustee Sohi, do you have any notice of motion?
No, thank you, Chair.
Perfect. Trustee Andrews.
No, thank you, Chair.
Trustee Marchand.
Nothing at this time, Chair.
Trustee K. McDonald.
No, thank you.
Trustee Crocker.
No thanks.
Trustee Lawton.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Trustee Benjamin.
No, thank you, Chair.
Trustee Cameron.
Nothing for me, Chair.
Trustee Davies.
Hi, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Green, any motions? None by me. Normally we don't have motions for student trustees, so I won't ask them. Thank you. So we'll move on to section 6. This is for receipt. We have 2 items here for receipt. The Peel IT Support Staff and Media Service Appreciation Day, May 13th. Oh, it's May already, just around the corner. And Police Appreciation Week, May 18th to 22nd. So as we go through the list, if someone wants to talk to it, I will ask if you approve it, and someone wants to talk to it. To do that first, though, we must put it on the floor. So Trustee Davies, do you put it on the floor?
Sure.
Trustee Cameron, do you second that?
I do. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Sohi, do you approve or have a comment?
Through you, Chair, yes, I have a comment. I would like to say, I want to say a big thank you to our IT and media support staff for their effort and work to make the online learning transition an easy process. The communication department spent long hours to get the community care plan ready, and the IT staff worked hard to get devices ready for the needy students. They also helped the teachers with their learning as well as the technical issues. I would also like to speak to the Police Appreciation Week that the PDSB celebrates during the month of May by thanking all the police officers for their work to keep our communities safe. More importantly, during this current COVID crisis, working at the front lines and serving the community. Thank you.
And do you approve receipt of these?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Trustee Andrews?
Yes, I approve 6.1 and 6.2 as well. And Trustee Sohi, I guess with going first, she very eloquently said what I was thinking.
Thank you, Trustee Andrews. Trustee Marchand?
Sir.
Okay, Trustee K. McDonald? Trustee K. McDonald?
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Crocker?
I do, Chair, with thanks to Trustee Sohi for her words.
Thank you. Trustee Law?
Yes, I approve, and she said it for us all.
I know.
Thank you.
Trustee Benjamin?
Yes, I approve. Nothing to add.
Trustee Cameron? Trustee Cameron?
I'm sorry. Yes, I approve. And thank you, Trustee Sohi, for those words, because they echo my thoughts as well. Thank you.
Trustee Davies?
Approved, sir.
Trustee Green? Yes, Chair, and I concur with Trustee. Thank you. Trustee Student Aurora, non-binding vote.
Approved. Thank you, sir. And thank you to Trustee Sohi for eloquently thanking our support staff and IT and media support services. They have been so proactive during these times, and I know the communication that's been going out has really helped a lot of the students relieve some of the stresses about the uncertainties. So thank you.
Excellent. Trustee Student R?
Yes, thank you. Approved.
Thank you. As chair, I just cannot thank both organizations. First of all, the PLIT support staff and media service. We wouldn't be here today, right now, live streaming, if we hadn't had their cooperation. They did a lot of work, started for our first broadcast March 24th. And I cannot tell you how I appreciate that much from my chair and being in IT, all the great work which I started in December. Very fascinated, a great group, and obviously our police are what keep us safe, and cannot thank you enough for the great job you do, and appreciate, look forward to your Appreciation Week on May 18th. Okay, moving on to Section 7. We have a delegation. Before we start the delegation, I just want to let viewers know, due to the government state of emergency declaration to help contain the spread of coronavirus, for everyone's safety, all public meetings of the Peel School Board will be held virtually and live streamed online until further notice. Members of the board can continue to participate in public meetings by watching the live stream and may make delegation presentations or ask questions, public questions, electronically. This process applies to the following board meetings: regular board meetings, instructional program and curricular committee, Physical Planning Building Committee, and Special Education Advisory Committee. So electronic delegation requests. Individuals or groups requesting to make a delegation to the Peel Board are required to submit a completed request to delegate form and an electronic delegation file to the Director's Office via email at Donna, D-O-N-N-A, Baptie, B-A-P-T-I-E, at peelschoolboard.com, peelsb.com, at least 5 business days before the date of the meeting in order for the request to be considered. The Director's Office will contact you, confirm delegation and the length of the time for the delegation, which typically is up to about 10 minutes maximum. As per bylaws, if there's more than one delegation on the same topic, then the delegations will reduce to 5 minutes. An electronic delegation file must be provided through one of the methods listed below. Video and audio files must be provided in the board through a downloadable link using file transfer services such as Dropbox, Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, and WeTransfer. So videos that will be shown during the live stream are .mov and MP4 format. Audio files for played during the live stream will be MP3 format. PowerPoint presentations will be shown during the virtual meeting as PPT, PPTX format. Text documents will be read aloud during the virtual meeting. Email, docx, and PDF. Please refer to the Peel Board bylaws G1 through G9 prior to submitting a requested delegation. These bylaws provide an overview of the delegation process. So we have a delegation by Mickey Bry regarding hand washing in classrooms, and that will be an audio file being played for you to hear. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Peel District School Board. Thank you for accepting my delegation for this meeting. I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy at this time of uncertainty. I'm here today to discuss hand washing in the public school system. I think we can all agree that hand washing is incredibly important and something that our council at Plumtree Park Public School has talked about on numerous occasions. The current system at the school, we believe, is inadequate. We have a student population of approximately 750 students, and there is the expectation that they only wash hands in the bathrooms of the school, where there are times where no soap is present. This would mean that up to 3 times a day in a school with 3 breaks, the entire school population is leaving their classrooms to go wash their hands in the washroom. If you picture this in your head, I'm sure you can agree that this is chaotic and a potentially dangerous situation. Many classrooms are fortunate enough to have sinks. However, no soap is provided. I was advised that the reason for this is health and safety. I do not have more information than that, but it sounds counterintuitive. Apparently there is concern about it spilling on the floor or children consuming the soap. If kindergarten classrooms can have access to soap, there is no reason to believe the older students would be less capable of handling that responsibility. We also know from the school principal that hand sanitizer is not allowed due to the alcohol content, though this is also not as effective as hand washing. We have inquired regarding the possibility of school council providing the soap for the classrooms, but we're informed that parents cannot provide soap in case of allergy or scented products, and this also may be inequitable for schools that cannot afford to provide soap. The Ontario School Food and Beverage Policy from 2011 states that classrooms should have soap and water or hand sanitizer available to demonstrate the importance of cleanliness. The Region of Peel Preventing Infection in Schools website states, "Clean hands often" at the top of their page. Any chance to provide more opportunities to clean hands is a chance to reduce the spread of bacteria and viruses, thereby reducing the time that students and teachers are out of school due to illness. We know your budget is tight and people are often asking for money, but the health and safety of students should always come first. Our school is willing to raise funds to cover costs associated with this endeavor, and hopefully many others could as well, reducing the strain on the board's finances. We have exhausted our ideas for how to rectify the situation and are hoping that the board can come up with an acceptable solution. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation, and important one as we're dealing with COVID-19. So we're going to move on to new business, item 9.1, Ministry Review of Directives. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to provide an update on the status of our work to address the Ministry of Education's directives to the Peel District School Board. Since our last board meeting on April 15th, mediation has started with an independent mediator, and interviews with trustees have begun. Out of respect for the mediation process and because we are bound for confidentiality, we cannot share anything else about this at this point in time. The mediator, though, will be submitting an interim report on May 14th, just around the corner, and a final report by June 19th to the Ministry of Education as directed in Directive 1. We have also retained the service of an external parliamentarian governance expert who began her work last Monday. Per Directive 5, she will be identifying procedures and practice for effective, respectful, transparent governance and provide a progress report to the ministry on June 1st. It remains our intention to comply with each of the minister's 27 directives. Since March 13th, 2020, we have made progress on a number of directives and met every deadline to date while supporting students, staff, and families during this very difficult time of COVID-19 pandemic. Last night, the Ministry of Education announced that he's appointed Arlene Huggins to conduct an investigation into Peel Board's compliance with the directives. We look forward to sharing our progress on the directives and deliverables and timelines with the investigator, and believe this process will validate the work we are doing. We have much work to do as a team to rebuild our relationships with each other and the community to improve outcomes for students and staff. But we will not be able to do any of this necessary work if we do not work as a cohesive unit. Supported by the mediator, we hope to return to effective and respectful governance that is focused on students so that we can eliminate anti-Black racism and systemic discrimination. We have heard from many members of the community and staff who are ready to help us continue to move forward with this very important work. They are relying on us to take the Ministry of Education's report and the minister's directives seriously, and we are doing just that. We remain committed to following through on each one of the directives set out to help us improve outcomes for our students and staff. I'd now like to turn it over to Director Joshua for an update on our operational side.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I'll just highlight a few specific things that we put in place in keeping with the Chair's comments. And I certainly want to encourage our public to access our board website, where we do provide an update on the directives and the actions that have been taking place so far. I also want to emphasize, as was mentioned and clearly articulated at our last board meeting, Trustee Kay McDonald talked about the value and importance of consulting with our community, and specifically those in our community who have lived experiences, our teachers, certainly our staff across the system internally, our students and parents and family and community members who are in the Black community in Peel and would provide a wealth of experiential and lived experience, as I mentioned, and can really support us in any actions that we take or any planning that we take moving forward. To date, as mentioned at our last meeting, we have submitted a very draft plan for consultation for our anti-racism policy, which will be developed, as I said, through consultation with our community, although we are experiencing the challenges of our COVID-19 pandemic, we are committed to connecting with community through virtual means and eventually getting to that very important face-to-face interaction. We are in the process of also securing a very draft view of a de-streaming consultation plan for the program to ensure that our students in the Black community have access to academic programming, so a model looking at de-streaming in the grade 9 and 10 years. And there are a number of components that will require an in-depth study, review, and connection with other school boards, but also making sure that we are aligned with research practices, so engaging internal research department, but also external research experts to support us with the community in developing a sound plan as we move forward. So that consultation plan will also be submitted to the ministry. Tomorrow is the date for that, but it will very quickly be supported by consultation of our community. Moving forward, we are looking to upcoming hiring of our Superintendent of Equity through a robust process with an internal and external posting for that position. And following that, we will be looking for a hiring of an outreach worker, a team of outreach workers, and we'll be from there with these experts developing a community engagement process plan for sure, and then process including the institution of an advisory council of internal and external members. So I look forward to providing updates on these various aspects as we go along. I want to add that even in the midst of our virtual approaches to learning and meeting, our senior team has wholeheartedly invested in an in-depth analysis, first amongst themselves with me, looking at not only the directives and the specifics around those operations, but most importantly, very carefully reviewing the review aspect of the report so that we can understand clearly the why this is so important, why this is necessary work, recognizing that we do have systemic racism in our institution and we must move forward and embrace practices that must be changed in order to meet the needs of our students and families and address the disproportionality. From there, our senior team is committed to begin the professional learning and conversations with principals so that we will be well equipped to support our staff as we move forward. As has been so eloquently described to me, it's very important that every one of our staff members understands and embraces this work and takes action with us at every level of the organization, and that is our commitment moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Director, for that great update. It's really starting to accelerate, and I appreciate that. So, what I'm going to do is start at the top of the list, and if you have any comments, let's do the other thing first. I always forget to do this. Vice Chair Green, do you put it on the floor? Okay. Trustee Benjamin, do you second it?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll start down.
Seconded.
Thank you. So we'll start down the list. If you have a comment, add your comment, and then if you approve. So Trustee Sohi.
Thank you, Chair. No comments. Approve the report.
Thank you. Trustee Andrews.
Approved.
Trustee Marchand.
Approved, and thank you, Director, for the report.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald. Trustee K. McDonald.
Through your chair, I have two questions. First, with regards to reviewing the report, is it all everyone has reviewed the report? Through your chair for the director.
Yeah, so we're having, could you just repeat that? We just didn't understand what you said, Trustee McDonald.
No, it's my understanding that it was said that everyone has reviewed the report. So I'm just saying all superintendents have reviewed the report in their with their teams.
Yes. Okay. Just wait a sec. Well, he'll put his mic on.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Thank you for that question. To clarify, our senior team has begun the process together to review the report and to review the directives. The next steps will be that our superintendents will be supporting, and our controllers and directors will be supporting their teams of principals, managers, supervisors to engage in that dialogue. So that is to come. We took our first steps together in our virtual meetings as a leadership council to begin the review together. But following that, there will be in-depth discussions with our leaders.
Okay, thanks. So just to be clear, so all members of the senior team have reviewed the report.
No, just press it.
Thank you. All members of the senior team, through your chair, are reviewing the report and the directives currently.
Reviewing. Okay, thank you very much. And I just, my other question is for the chair.
Yes.
Because I just want to know, why did I have to find out as you're reading the report that trustees were given an update, or you were given an update with regards to the governance arm of the board? I understand that there was probably not a great interest in soliciting my ideas or thoughts for this update, but at a bare minimum, it would have been respectful to have at least a heads up that this report was coming out. Thank you. If you could answer that question, please.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback.
No, it's a question. I just wanted to know why we know, like at least I wasn't told. I don't know if other trustees were given the courtesy, so I just want to know why.
No one got a courtesy of what I report. I was the only one who had access to this document and what I read. So it's considered an oral report walk-on. So that's what I've done. But no other trustees were given this report to my knowledge. It's only worked with me.
Thank you. So going forward, could you give considerations that when you're giving reports on behalf of trustees, that we at least have a heads up as to, at least, even if we don't have, we're not privy to the report, that a report is coming on our behalf, so we are aware before it just gets out there. Thank you.
Okay, and that's a good point. And what I'll do is say that basically the vice chair and I and the director decided to put this section in our new business 9.1 ministry review directives, and it's always going to be on the agenda from now on, and something that we're going to be delivering on. There may be a time we have nothing to say, but right now there's a lot of deliverables, and so we have to keep pushing all those things out there. I also want to remind the public, you can go to our website and go to the directive chart and see everything that's been started, pending, or completed. And so everyone can get it. When we do bring reports forward related to a directive, if we hear administration bring a report on de-streaming or do anything of that nature, then in that chart there'll be links to those reports supporting the completion of various tasks. So just want to let everyone know, as well as trustees, that this section is going to be there probably until we complete the directives officially with the government. Thank you.
I appreciate that, but could they not all be walk-on oral reports, that if we could have the courtesy of getting these reports so we can read them, so if we do have critical questions, we're able to prepare and ask them? Because personally, I know I enjoy having my reports to read them, so I can deeply understand exactly what they're saying. So if I do have critical questions, I'll be able to ask them. But it's very difficult week after week when these reports are coming out, and sometimes they're pretty complex. So it's good to be able to digest them. So other people may not have any questions, but I in particular I'm very interested in this section, and I have a lot of questions, and I really appreciate getting written reports going forward. Thank you
for your comments. Trustee Crocker.
Approved.
Trustee Long.
Thank you for both reports, Chair and Director, and it's all good for me.
Thank you. Trustee Benjamin.
Yes, thank you to the Chair and Director for the report. And I also would like to support Trustee McDonald's views that you could give us a heads up and, in future. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron.
I approve both reports, and thank you, both Director and Chair, for that.
Thank you. Trustee Davies.
Approved, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Green. I approve. Student Trustee Aurora, non-binding vote.
Approved. Thank you, Chair.
Trustee Student Nar, non-binding vote.
Approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to 9.2. So 9.2 is the appointment of student trustees. So on behalf of the Peel District School Board and the Board of Trustees, it gives me great pleasure to introduce and congratulate our incoming student trustees for the year 2020-2021. We are pleased to introduce student trustee for the next school year, who will be Shivoham Nar, who is from Harold Brathwaite Secondary School and will represent schools north of the 401. And Pragyan Malhotra, who is from T.L. Kennedy Secondary School and will represent schools south of the 401. This year, 11 students from a number of secondary schools ran for the position of North and South Student Trustee. The election campaign was held over the 4-week period of March 23rd during the 17th, and secondary students voted online using our Brightspace technology this past week, April 21st and 22nd. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank all candidates for their participation in the election. We appreciate your dedication and the time you have spent on running an effective campaign and the awareness that you raised in the importance of your student voice. Shivoham and Pragyan, being a student trustee is a big commitment, as you will represent the voice of all students in our board. I know you will both enjoy this leadership opportunity as you inspire success, confidence, and hope. I wish much success to both of you in your new roles and the upcoming year, and thank you. I want to take this opportunity also to thank our current trustees, Kanisha Aurora and Prableen Nar, who have been doing an outstanding job, truly outstanding job representing the student voice and demonstrating their leadership skills. At this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to one of our student trustees, Trustee Student Nar. I think you would like to make some comments.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair, both myself and Kanisha would just like to introduce our incomings as well. So through you, Chair, I'm so very excited to announce Shivoham Nar as the incoming student trustee for Peel North 2020-2021. He's currently in grade 11 at Harold and Brathwaite Secondary School in Brampton, and he has been extensively involved in the community, from volunteering as a Rotary member, working with MPs and mayors, being a part of numerous organizations, and has been in his school's student council for 3 years as a grade representative. Shivoham Nar aims to provide students opportunities and success in Peel, and he looks forward to working with everyone at the board during his term.
So I guess he's a relative, isn't he, Trustee Nar?
Yes, he's my younger brother.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you showed him the way to lead into this great seat that you're going to be vacating. Thank you so much. Trustee Aurora.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, it is no doubt that students and their voice are the backbone of our education system. And even during this global crisis, it's really surprising that our staff have not yet stopped to ensure that student voice is at the forefront. I know that adapting to the online platforms to conduct the student trustee elections must have taken a lot of work, and it's an excellent example of the leadership that our staff has shown. But I'm very pleased today to introduce you all to my incoming student trustee, Pragyan Malhotra, who will be representing the students south of the 401 for the 2020-2021 school year. He is currently a student at TLK Secondary School and has taken the time to contribute to his school environment by partaking in numerous sports teams such as badminton, volleyball, table tennis, and track and field. In addition to his passions for athleticism and leadership, he also enjoys performing in school theatrical performances and furthering his interest in business by competing in the DECA business competition. All of these experiences, in addition to his role in student council, give me the confidence to say that he will excellently execute the tenor of student trustee. I would also like to take a moment to thank all of the candidates for their dedication to student advocacy and leadership. I really do hope that your commitment to student advocacy and leadership does not stop there, because we need more leaders. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So I'm going to get the two mentors of the incoming student trustees to put this on the floor. So Trustee Lawton, would you put this on the floor?
Yes, I will. I'm very excited, looking forward to working with new student trustees.
Thank you. And Trustee Sohi, would you put this on the floor?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Do you approve the motion of these two trustees?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Trustee Andrews.
Yes, approved.
Trustee Nelson. Trustee Marchand.
Approved, Chair.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald.
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Crocker.
Approved.
Trustee Lawton.
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Benjamin.
Approved.
Trustee Cameron.
Approved, Chair.
Trustee Davies.
Chair.
Trustee Green. Trustee McDonald, approved. Non-binding vote, Trustee Aurora.
Yes, approved. Thank you, Chair.
And non-binding vote, Trustee Nair.
Approved. Thank you, Chair.
Awesome, thank you. That's been approved, so we'll move on to item 9.3. 9.3 is the motion by Trustee McDonald, response to letters sent to Chair and Vice Chair of the Board. Trustee McDonald, do you have a seconder of your motion?
I do. Trustee Sohi.
Okay, Trustee Sohi. Okay, so the process is that you get to have 5 minutes to introduce your motion and talk to it. So please begin.
Thank you. First, we'll read the motion. Be it resolved that all letters that have been sent to Chair Brad McDonald and Vice Chair David Green from community members, and any letters sent out on behalf of the board since December the 1st, 2019, be shared with all trustees, and that all letters be responded to by the chair by April 30th, 2020. So the motion speaks to itself, because I think that it's critical as a trustee of the board that I am aware of community concerns that come to this board, as well as I should be aware of the responses that the board or the chair is giving on behalf of the Board of Trustees, so that when I am questioned by a member of the public, be it on a telephone call, in an email, is a little easier to navigate, but especially if you're out in the public and somebody comes up to me and asks a question, or I get a telephone call, that I'm able to speak to any communication, so I'm not surprised by the communications that have been sent out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now do I have anyone who wants to speak to the motion?
Yes, I'll speak to the motion.
Yes, Trustee Sohi.
I support this motion because I believe any communication or response to any inquiry directed at the board should be shared with the trustees, so that all the trustees are aware of the concerns or information requested or information received and any responses by the board. So I think it's very pivotal that all the trustees are aware of the communication on behalf of the trustees. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other trustees would like to speak to this motion?
Please, Chair.
Yes.
It's Trustee Merchant. Yeah, I have a question through you, Chair, to Trustee McDonald. Her motion speaks that all letters must be responded to by tomorrow. I'm not sure what volume of letters you have received, or if all letters received actually require a response. So I'm unclear of what her intention is to that.
Trustee McDonald, can you answer that question?
Yes, through you, Chair. With regards to the letters being forwarded to me, because they are letters that have been sent to members of the community. So I just wanted to know all letters and responses that have been sent. It could be forwarded, because I would assume that it wasn't be that complicated to just forward the letters to me. And the notice of motion was given 2 weeks ago. So I would assume, in preparation for this, and both the chair and vice chair would understand the importance of all members of the board receiving communication that has been sent out. So that's why I had asked for it to be forwarded to me. If April the 30th is too tight a deadline for the chair, if he indicates that he is unable to do so, I'm willing to ask him how much time he needs. He finds it reasonable. I'm not sure how many letters he has sent out on behalf of the board that we haven't received. But
if I may, for clarification, through your chair, the motion says that you're binding the chair to respond to all correspondence by tomorrow. It's not saying he needs to forward all correspondence given out by tomorrow. So I need some clarification on that. Are you just asking for copies of everything he's sent out? Are you commanding him?
Yes.
The motion as written and as read, I think, says you're commanding him to respond to everything from the community by April 30th.
Okay, I can see the confusion. The spirit of the motion is that all letters that have been sent to the chair and vice chair be sent out, that was sent out since December the 1st, be shared with all the trustees.
Thank you for clarifying that. So as long as we are not commanding that the chair and vice chair respond to every piece of communication they've received and that they have to do so by tomorrow, I think in that case, Chair, I too can support this, that anything you send out on behalf of the chair or vice chair, as we vote for you to be our voice, I think it's highly appropriate that you copy us on anything you do while exercising that voice that we have entrusted you with. So I will vote to support this motion as explained, not necessarily as written. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, anyone else want to talk to the motion?
Could I just add something?
Yes, Trustee Davies.
I just feel that there are some requests that you get that really shouldn't be shared with all the trustees. I trust your judgment on this, so I will be voting against this motion. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak to the motion?
I have a question, some clarification, Chair.
Yep. Yes.
Is this motion only for the time being, considering the situation we are in? or is it something that should be that should go to even in the future? So I'd like Trustee McDonald to clarify.
Yeah, no, it is my understanding that all communication that goes to the chair and all correspondence that he sends out on behalf of the board should be coming to us as trustees. So I didn't put a motion for it to be going forward in the future, because really that is supposed to be the practice. But I was just trying to deal with all communications that has been sent out and received since December the 1st, 2019.
All right. Thank you. I will support the motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, anyone else wish to speak to the motion? Okay, Trustee, Vice Chair Green, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm totally confused personally, because I'm being accused here of something that I don't know about, and I don't know where my colleague, Trustee McDonald, is coming from with this. As far as I know, that I have not, what has been alleged here, I have no clue what she's talking about. Now, I know that we have discussion and we have
letters which come from the public, we should know if we are responding to them.
Emails and stuff like that we, as vice chair and chair, we're embargoed on. And I am, if I'm embargoed and I'm signing an agreement that I'm embargoed, I'm not going to release that to nobody, because there's a liability on my part. So I have no problem if a letter come from the community, or if there's a response, come to me and I'm responding to share that with trustee, because that's the normal practice at the board. So I don't know where this is coming from, and actually this is actually been accused. I've been accused of something here, so I'm not going to support this motion.
Okay. Someone else's mic is on, by the way. Whose else's mic is on, please? Okay. Thank you, Trustee Green. Anyone else wish to speak to the motion? Okay, seeing no one. So Trustee McDonald, the custom with every process is to close the debate on the motion, so you're given the opportunity to close the debate.
Thank you, Future. This is not accusing anyone of anything. The spirit of the motion comes from the fact that there have been statements issued, letters that have gone out, and I personally, as a trustee of the board, I did not receive any copy prior to it. There are several different occasions where I'm first aware of letters being issued when I get a call from a community member. So I am just asking that all the letters that have been sent out on behalf of the board, right, and there are statements that have been issued that I've seen on a board website while speaking to a parent. So, and both the chair and vice chair's names have been signed to the letter or to a statement. So that is why I am requesting that I get sent to me in my mail any such statements, letters that have been issued on behalf of the board. It's in by no way making any accusations. And obviously, I'm not speaking about any negotiation contracts or embargoed information. These are simply community letters that have been sent. I didn't ask for contracts. They're just letters from the community that I'm requesting. Thank you. So I'm looking forward to the support from my colleagues, because I think it's just open and being transparent. And I think as trustees, we all should take our duty to know, you know, what we need to know. And I think when we're writing, when the board sends out a letter from a community member, we need to know this information. And I'd like to request a recorded vote, please.
Okay, Thank you. So we'll start at the top. It's recorded vote. Do you wish me to do the recording of the vote, board reporter, since I'm calling out the names of the people? Okay. Since this is a virtual and I'm calling out the names, I'll go through that. Trustee Sohi, do you approve or not approve the motion?
I'm in favor of the motion.
Okay. Trustee Carries, do you approve or not approve the motion?
Not approving the motion. Thank you.
Trustee Marchand, approve or not approve the motion?
I'm approving the motion, sir.
Okay. Trustee McDonald, K. McDonald, do you approve or not approve the motion?
I approve.
Trustee Crocker, approve or not approve the motion?
Against the motion.
Thank you. Trustee Lawton, do you approve or not approve the motion?
I do not approve the motion. The motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees Benjamin, approve or not approve the motion?
I approve the motion.
Okay. Trustee Cameron, approve or not approve the motion?
Not approve. Not.
Okay, not approve. So Trustee Davies, approve or not approve?
Not approve.
Thank you. Trustee Green, not approve. Myself, not approved. And Trustee Student Aurora, non-binding vote.
I choose to abstain. Thank you, Chair.
Abstain. That's the other alternative. Thank you. Trustee Nar, student trustee, non-binding vote.
I choose to abstain as well, Chair.
Thank you. So the motion does not carry. So we move on to item, what item are we on to now? Excuse me. Reports from director and staff. Seeing none. So we're going to move on to item 11. So these items are here for receipt. We're going to do a consent agenda, meaning that we're going to approve them all together as one. So I'll need someone to put this on the floor. So Trustee Crocker, do you put it on the floor?
I do, Chair.
Okay. Trustee McDonald, do you second that?
I do.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go down through the list of items. If you'd like to talk to any one of the items when you're going through that process of approval or not approval, let me know and you can talk to the item, but please let me know which item number you are talking to. So, Trustee Sohi.
Approve.
Thank you. Trustee Andrews.
Approve.
Trustee Marchand.
Approved.
Trustee McDonald.
I have a comment.
Yeah, please.
So with regards to question 11 point, in items 11.7, 11.8, and 11.9, because I find that here the answers provided, they're choosing whoever provided like all the answers, not to address these things. I think that it's important that these questions are answered. I think, you know, these are fundamental questions, and at the root of the problem, I think that we need to look at, for example, with our suspensions, who makes decisions about them, because suspensions can permanently scar a student. So as a board, we should not act in a manner which could be perceived as hiding behind the ministry directives. Actions that we can take right now to change the trajectory of success for Black students. However, the responses that are provided by the director in 11.7, 11.8, and 11.9, in my opinion, demonstrates that we're hiding behind the directives rather than thinking critically. So because it appears to me like it's a deflection of the questions, because the questions appear to be basically the directive. If the true answer is that we're not addressing the questions, then I think we need to state it. Because the answer to, for example, 11.7 just restated the directive connected to suspension of Black students. The question I asked was, what are we doing now for Black students who have been suspended under the other category, because it's a huge and an alarming percentage. And I think each and every trustee should be concerned with the number of suspensions that are in the other categories. Will these suspensions be reviewed by the senior administration? I would like an answer, please, to the question regarding what is happening now. So I don't want it reflected on the directives that's happening in the future. Are we looking at how we're going to expunge the records of students that have been suspended, and the reasoning for the suspensions don't really warrant the suspension that they got? With regard to like the pathway for Black students, again, the question is just restating the directive. So it's connected to an upcoming de-streaming, okay. But the question I asked was, what are we doing now for Black students who have been streamed in inappropriate pathways? Because we have kids in our system now that have been streamed in inappropriate pathways. How are we going to, these students, you know, how are we going to give them an opportunity to change their pathways now? Come in September, okay, they have done a year in this applied, and you realize, you know, they're getting 99% averages and they were streamed there and they should not be there. How are we going to address this situation? Because again, that didn't answer my question. Again, Black guidance counselors. The answer to the question, again, restated the directive connected to future actions around more racialized guidance counselors. The question I was asking are, what are we doing now for Black students who don't have access to Black guidance counselors? Will senior administration direct principals to ensure that there's greater representation possible in current staffing, or get somehow mentors in the school, in the buildings, who can guide students if the students need guidance or request it? So I would like my questions answered as opposed to restating the directives. Thank you.
So these are questions are based on operational items, and based on this long, they get the director to provide a comment.
Through you, Chair, and certainly respecting the comments and the perspectives that Trustee K. McDonald has stated, it is very critical that we, rather than move forward to start expressing the how to these particular directives, as has been clearly stated by many, we must hear the voices of our community and have them at the table to clearly develop the roadmap moving forward with these particular areas. We can't do anything in the same way that we have been doing it. This is about systemic change and a strategic plan that is involving the voices of experts, and there is a considerable amount of data, very telling data, that has come through our student census that will be used to help us develop, in collaboration with our community, the appropriate steps as to how to address these. Notwithstanding, these are all critically important questions, not only to answer, but actions that need to take place. But in the absence of that consultation, we can't just talk about how until we include their voices.
Thank you, Director. So let's move on to Trustee Crocker.
I have no questions.
Okay, and approved?
Certainly.
Yep. Lawton, Trustee Lawton?
I approve. No questions. Thank you.
Trustee Benjamin?
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron?
Approved.
Trustee Davies?
Mr. Chair.
Great. Trustee Green? Approved. Trustee McDonald? Student trustee, non-binding voter, Aurora?
Approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Student trustee Nar, non-binding vote?
Approved. Thank you.
Okay, approved. Item 11. So now we're going to go to item 12, which includes 12.1 and the added 12.2 OFSPA fast back. Trustee K. McDonald, would you put that on the floor?
I will.
Yeah, Trustee Andrews, I believe you're also on there. Do you want to put that on the floor?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. So we'll start the voting process. Trustee Sohi?
Yes, approved.
Thank you. Trustee Andrews?
Yes, approved.
Thank you. Trustee Marchand?
Approved.
Trustee McDonald? K. McDonald?
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Crocker?
Approved.
Trustee Lawton?
Approved.
Trustee Benjamin?
Approved.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron?
Approved, Chair.
Trustee Davies?
Mr. Chair.
Trustee Green? You're good. Trustee McDonald? And we'll go down to student trustee Aurora, non-binding votes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Student trustee Nar, non-binding votes.
Approved.
Okay, so now we'll move on. There's no communications for receipt of action, no reports from trustee associations. So we're going to go to questions from board, trustee board members, item number 14. So trustee Sohi, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
My question is actually regarding special needs students that usually during the regular school year get a lot of, we have a extensive support system for them for their learning and counseling and other physical therapy needs, which is a huge population. We have a 10% students who have a learning disabilities and other special need disabilities, special needs. I would like to know that what are we doing to assist these students for their education and counseling needs, especially with the online learning model?
So, Director Joshua, would you like to answer that, please?
Thank you, and through you, Chair, thank you for this very important question. I just want to acknowledge Superintendent Dr. Sean Moynihan, our Superintendent of Special Education, and his incredible staff, but also through the input and expertise from members of our Special Education Advisory Committee. We are currently supporting our students with special needs in a variety of ways, certainly through the guidance and support of classroom teachers, our teaching assistants, our special education support staff, our professional school services support, student services support staff, including our social workers, our speech pathologists, psychoeducational consultants, and we've moved to a format with video conferencing that really does support the kinds of interactions that many of our students would require, but certainly our most vulnerable students with identified special needs. So I will point our public to a document that's been created on our website for students, families, and staff. It's very user-friendly, that outlines, and you'll find that connected to all of our updates with respect to distance learning, but there are specific documents in place for our students with identified special needs. Just a few highlights, and I know there's a lot that I can say because a lot has happened, but in terms of highlights, we began our journey when we were informed that we would go into school closures. Began our journey with a survey to determine what the needs are for our staff who are supporting students with special needs and our students in determining what the needs are with regard to technology and resources. We presented that and collaborated with SEAC members to determine specifically what types of needs were required. There was a significant amount of work looking at individual education plans for students and looking very specifically at the types of accommodations that would be best suited for students in the online environment as they were engaging in distance learning. Beyond just gathering data on the resource needs around just regular technology, there was also a concerted effort, and it continues, to ensure that the special education amount technology specific distribution of that equipment, which goes beyond just computers, but very specific types of equipment to support our students, has been distributed in a variety of ways, including courier delivery. And all of this in collaboration with union and federation partners throughout from our variety of our unions. We continue to look at and move forward with distribution, and there's a significant plan moving forward to engage in in-school resource committee meetings, case conferences that are designed for educators and support staff to come together with them to look at the individual needs of students on a regular basis and ensure that in an ongoing way their needs are met. I mentioned video conferencing, and that platform is now being introduced and will be a really vital way to support our students. As we move forward, we do know that some important meetings like the Identification, Placement, and Review Committee meetings and annual reviews that do help students and their families engage in conversations about the best placements for students. This will all be resuming in the next week, and this will give parents an opportunity to be closely connected with schools so that our students are well supported for the remainder of this year, and most importantly, as we come back to engaging in the regular school environment in the fall. So these are just a few of the things that I would say are very much in place as we move forward, and I do appreciate through Dr. Moynihan's leadership and work with the SEAC committee that we are constantly looking at improvements and hearing the voices of our families to ensure that their needs are, as they evolve, that they are met. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Director Joshua, and thank you to the whole team. I'm very happy with the answer provided. I have another question, Chair.
Yes.
If I may, yeah, please. My second question is regarding connecting the community and the students and the schools, the teachers. The last week I participated in the Mount Royal Wellness Parade, where the educators and the administrators drove in the neighborhood with the positive slogans posted on their vehicles. And several hundred students came out in their driving. So my question is how we can encourage more schools to do something similar to engage students and school community until we return to the normal school, just to cheer them up.
Yeah, through you, Director Joshua, could you answer that?
Through you, Chair, I really appreciate the recognition of some valuable ways that we promote positivity and that human connection, albeit as we live in this world of social distancing. The trustee has highlighted a very significant way that our staff is connected in communities, and so we do take best practices like this. We're continuing to bring these to our table, superintendents working with principals to share practices like this. And I also appreciate that our communications department continually highlights these types of practices through our website, but in other ways. So very good point, well taken. We continue to spread these types of things through our ongoing Family of Schools meetings so that principals can work with their staff and implement these very, very important approaches to human connection.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I thank Director Joshua for providing those answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Andrews, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you, Chair.
Trustee Marchand, any questions, please?
Nothing, Chair.
Thank you. Trustee McDonald.
Yes, Chair, I have a few questions. Who decides what goes up on the Peel District School Board website and social media? Through you, Chair.
I think that's best to pass over to the director who decides.
Sorry, through you, Chair, just maybe perhaps some specificity around there.
Who decides what goes on the Peel School Board?
From the Peel School Board, we do rely on our communications department to manage the types of publications that go on social media from school board. I do, as the director, along with my senior team, have a hand in working with our director of communications and the communications team on some vital communications and publications that are on social media. As perhaps our trustees are aware, but certainly will say to our public that we use a variety of platforms for social media in order to ensure that that items that are going to be publicized on our website are also shared in social media.
Thank you, Director Joshua. You said you had some more questions, Trustee McDonald?
Yes, I'm continuing that vein of question with regards to social media. So do trustees have the ability to post statements on the PDSB website?
No.
Trustees?
No, not individual trustees that I'm aware of, no.
Chair, does the chair and vice chair have the ability to post statements on the website?
As chair and with conjunction with the vice chair, as in the Education Act, I am the spokesman of the board, so I get to put things on the website, but I personally don't put things on the website. I work with the chair and the communications department and director to develop anything that goes on any kind of social media or platform based from my perspective as chair.
Thank you. When a statement is put on the Peel District School Board's website,
yes,
from the chair and vice chair, are you speaking on behalf of the boards?
Yes.
Of the board?
Yes.
Or Peel School Board?
Yes.
Thank you. So explain to me, if a statement is being posted on the board website on behalf of the board, that again, why is it that trustees were not, at least I was not aware that this statement was even written or being posted? I'm just wondering.
All communications that I post, I usually send to the trustees before it hits social media, so you're made aware of it.
And did you do that when you posted this statement on the website?
On what?
When the response to Minister Leche's tweet that was posted on the Peel District School Board's website.
Yes, I sent an email to all trustees before it was posted on the website.
Well, I'm not sure. I guess I was not on that list because the statement was on the website, and I looked in my email after receiving a call from a parent, and I had not received an email before the statement went on the website.
I will check that, but the practice is, as chair of the board, is directed by the Education Act. I speak for the board, and I sent that out, and I believe I copied all trustees on that message. But I'll go back and look and see if it didn't get sent.
Okay, and I'll ask the question at the next meeting. And under the education, as the chair of the board, can you as the chair of the board just post anything you want, or do you need the approval of the board?
As chair of the board, you have elected me to be your spokesperson.
So I'm asking you if you can just, at your whim, issue a statement, or if the rest of trustees direct you to, do we direct you to issue the statement? Or
that's been answered and asked. Next question.
I have not gotten an answer. Please, I'm asking accommodation for my learning cognitive skills because I did not understand what you said.
So, as chair of the board, I've been elected. So I can respond on behalf of the board. You gave me the election, the vote to do that. So I give communications on behalf of the board.
Could the names of the individuals that have been hired as a result of the directives be posted on the website?
Sorry, the names of who, the what?
The names of individuals that have been hired as a result of the directives be posted on the website, because I've got a lot of calls for who are the different people that we're hiring.
Yeah.
Is that information that can be posted on the website? Because it says, for example, we've hired a mediator, but on the website, it does not say.
Thank you. I'll take that on advisement. We have to determine if there's any confidentiality on some of the names and privacy, but if we can, we'll put those names on there if possible.
Thank you. My next questions. Why weren't trustees told when the apology letter that was written would be released? Again, I saw it on social media, so I'm just wondering.
I believe I said that at the day before board meeting. I said it would be released. I said at the meeting of the last board meeting that it'll be released. So it was.
Yes, you didn't say a date. We knew it was going to be released because that's why we're crafting the letter. But I'm just thinking, as chair, do you think it would be feasible to even let your fellow colleagues know when a letter is going to of such magnitude is going to out to the public?
Thank you. Next question.
I'm asking a question. If you see that as relevant, or you were refusing to answer my question.
No, you're stating that the letter was released. You were part of writing the letter. I said in the board meeting that the letter was going to be released.
I'm not stating anything. I'm asking you a question, Chair.
I did.
I'm asking you, I was aware that we wrote the letter and that it was going to be released.
And I'm
just asking you.
Okay, ask.
About notifying your colleagues when you are actually releasing the letter. That is my question.
I believe I answered that at the board meeting I said it would be released.
Did you say that it was going to be released on April the 16th, 2020 at the board meeting?
No, I said it was going to be released shortly, and that was the next day.
So my question still stands, which you have not answered. I'm asking you, would it be prudent to
I've answered the question. Move to the next one,
I have not answered my question. I don't know. Because going forward, I wanted answers.
I've answered the question. Next question, please.
That's okay. I'll ask the investigator if they think that's a good answer to my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
In an email parents received on Monday regarding budget survey, the following was written. It's important to note that approximately 95% of the board's revenue is provided directly from the Ministry of Education through the Grants for Students' Needs funding that is based on enrollment and specific needs of students in each school board. As such, the majority of school board funding must be used for the purpose that it was granted. Example, facilities, operating costs, and salaries. There are, however, areas of the budget where input can be sought. And I'm just wondering, what area of the budget does the $1.7 million spent on lawyer fees come from?
So you're referring to the consulting email that went out to, that didn't go out Monday, did it? Yeah, can you just, what's the question, please? Can you repeat the question, please?
So there was a survey, a message sent out to parents regarding a budget survey.
Okay, the budget survey. Okay, yes. And what's the question?
Right, so the question is, what area of the budget does the $1.7 million spent on lawyer fees come from?
What percentage? Okay, we can't answer that today. So
I'm not showing her percentage. I said, what area of the budget?
Okay. The Director, Joshua, would like to answer that question, please.
Sorry, through you, Chair, if I may. Associate Director Jaspal Gill can give us some insight into the response to that question. Is Associate Director Gill on the line?
Yeah, he's there. I see him. I'll unmute him.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Director Joshua, and through you, Chair McDonald. Our board, along with all the other boards in the province, most of our funding comes through the grants that we receive from the ministry. In addition to that, we do have other funding that the board gets, and these are the funding such as from the international fees that the board collects from the international students, some of the interest revenue that we get on some of our investments. So these are some of the examples that we do get other funding. All of that funding, whether it's the GSNs or the funds we collect from other revenues that we get, it's all put together. And then the expenditures, including the expenditure for the legal fees, are then paid out of those funds.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have any more questions, Trustee McDonald?
I do.
Okay.
On page 49 of our bylaws, it says, under duties of the chair, that the chair shall bring concerns, members of the board shall bring concerns of parents, students, and porters of the board to the attention of the board. So I noticed the motion to bring forward all emails that you have received was voted down. So I'm confused because in our bylaws under Appendix B it says that we have a duty to bring forth concerns of parents and students. So again, my question is, when parents bring forth concerns to the chair and vice chair, are the concerns going to be, and you respond to them, will the rest of your colleagues be aware of the response that is sent out?
That's generally the answer is yes. We'll copy all trustees. When all trustees are copied on a request for information, sometimes there's private personal information that we cannot divulge, and so I cannot copy the, people on that because there's MFIPA and all those kind of things. So generally, I will be saying when I respond to messages on behalf of the trustees as chair, I will be copying the trustees.
Thank you. And my final question is, how do parents, so I understand that we have no current mechanism within our board to appeal a trespass letter. Is there a way, or does the board intend to notify parents as to the process that's available to them, even though it's not available going to the board, if it could be made public as to the procedure? And same thing, for example, with the procedure for participating in the budget. I know they got the letter out, but if it could be like a standing, information for parents to know, I think that's very important. And especially because we issue trespass letters, if we can have some way when we issue a trespass letter or put on our website, the process to appeal it, even though we can't appeal it through the board.
You've answered your own question there, so thank you.
No, but I'm asking you if it could be posted on the website. I did not answer my question.
We'll take that under advisement.
Whose advice are you going to seek for that, putting the information on the website?
We should have asked this question in committee, was being the right place where we would have got that advisement. So we'll have to seek more advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Crocker, any questions?
No, thank you, Chair.
Trustee Lawton.
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
Trustee Benjamin.
No questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron.
Chair, at this juncture in our meetings, we have been allowed to add comment. Is that I'd like to pay some tribute to some staff efforts.
You know that we're not making comments from now on, but I will allow this if in the spirit of COVID, only to be unrelated to staff.
That's okay. I think if we moved away from that, I'll step aside from that, and what I'll do is send my gratitude directly to those staff who have done remarkable work. So thank you, Chair.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Trustee Cameron. Trustee Davies?
Questions at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Green? Trustee Green?
Yes, Director Joshua, and I'm not asking you to answer this tonight, but I'm just thinking in terms of we dealing with the distant learning for the kids, and I'm thinking of the younger kids, the younger grades. They are feeling isolated and they can't understand why they can't see their classmate. Is it possible we could look at how we could maybe connect with parents and maybe get parents to agree so that teacher could share screen so that the kids would be able to see each other so that they can feel connected? Because, you know, in my walk and talk with various different educators and parents, you know, I'm hearing, so I'm bringing this. I'm not asking you to answer it, but if it's a possibility that as a board we could do it, because I believe that in this time that we are in right now, if there's anything that we could do to help students feel connected, please could you take a look at that and maybe get back to us?
Make a quick comment here. Thank you. Through you, Chair. I do appreciate the question and the interest in making those connections. As I may have mentioned when I was talking about our supports for students with special needs, we have engaged our educators and principals in approaches to video conferencing, so that it is very possible in the platforms that we do have in place. And there are a number of teachers now who are engaging in this type of connection through Google and other approaches that we have. So it is very possible, and there is capability for that. I would encourage that if these are our interests, our teachers do have resource people at the board who can help connect them to learn how to do this effectively. But we're definitely in place to support video conferencing, and it's the best way to have that human connection. I've seen some great examples of this where our educators have brought their class together and they can, in fact, see each other's faces. So thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Student Aurora, any questions?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. I was just wondering how our board is dealing with examinations. I know that some boards, such as the York District School Board and different Peel Catholic District School Board, have announced that they've replaced instructional periods with examinations. So is this something that's mandated by the ministry? And if it's not, then how is our board going about examinations?
Thank you. Director Joshua.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Really important question, and if I may, if I'm understanding student trustee Aurora's comment and question, specifically the neighboring boards are doing what we're doing in terms of direction that has come from the ministry so far has been with regard to replacing the examination days that are in our calendar and converting those into instructional days. At this point, we haven't been given specific direction, although we have shared that information with our parents and community. We haven't been given final direction on the approach to final culminating tasks or examinations and what makes up that final mark. But we are encouraging our educators to look at approaches like culminating tasks, etc. We're working very closely with our ministry, but also our neighboring boards, so that we are aligned in supporting our students, always with the recognition that there are very unique circumstances for our students across this region with regard to their ability to access and to keep up with the work. So we have to be very mindful of that, and there will be, as I think has been articulated many times, there will be no penalty for students if they are having difficulty engaging. But just to round up and answer to your question, we're waiting for some final direction from the ministry, but we do know as our neighboring boards that there's a commitment to instruction as opposed to the formal examination time, and we'll look to how to best ensure that students can demonstrate overall how they've done in a course. So more information to come.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Any other questions, Trustee Aurora?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay, Trustee Nard, any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. So that finishes question period by board members. So now we're going to go on to public question period. So as we moved into the virtual world meetings, and we started this conversation at the beginning of the board meeting, members can pose questions. The question period is now 15 minutes, and as part of our bylaw G11, and I stated all this at the beginning. We have, I think, right now 15 questions in the queue. If you're listening, provide one question at a time. Public questions at peelschoolboard.com. Public questions at peelsb.com. So we're going to start off. First question. Gurupal Singh Diwali is asking, how is the Peel District School Board addressing the issue of campaign rule violations in the recent Peel student trustee elections? What sort of investigations being done? So I'm going to pass that over to Mark Harmon. Associate Director Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, through you, Chair, the board is aware of this specific complaint and is proceeding with addressing it at this time.
Thank you. Okay, now I've got to cue back to my second question. Jasmine Kuar Singh, is the board asking schools to monitor the number of students participating and accessing their learning activities online? Are we identifying the reasons if participation is low? So I'm going to pass that over to Director Joshua.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, this is certainly an important part of what we're doing. As perhaps many folks are aware, we have just completed our distribution of technology and supports for our students for distance learning, and for all the right reasons. It's been a carefully orchestrated period, and we wanted to make sure that we got to this stage. We do recognize that there are unique circumstances for each of our families in terms of not only the access to technology, but use of technology. So we do have to understand that levels of participation for our students will vary. That being said, our teachers and other support staff are, along with principals, are engaging in contacting their students, following up if at this point now, 3 weeks in to this, 3-4 weeks in, we're getting a sense and a pulse of who's regularly accessing and which ones of our students are perhaps having difficulty or aren't able to. All this to say that we always support that it may not be the same circumstance for every student, but we are monitoring, most importantly, ensuring that while learning is important, the well-being of our students is very critical. And so, as I've said several times, wherever we can make that human connection, that level of monitoring is happening now. Administrators are supporting their teachers to ensure that those connections are being made. So we'll, at some point, we'll be able to formulate some level of understanding of how much is happening around the system, but that's to come.
Thank you, Director Joshua. So I'll remind the public that we'll only be reading the question part of your questions. So I have a question from Oya Gol. the strong evidence to delaying start times. Will this evidence in mind, is that Peel District School Board willing to explore the best structure school start times in the district?
So through you, Chair, thank you for the question. As we move forward, we are certainly taking some direction and getting some insights from our ministry as they make some decisions about school closure, how long school closure will take place. But models like the one described by this individual are certainly worth considering, but we will look to direction from the ministry on what are some appropriate ways to move forward, and would look at this as one of several ways to ensure that students, as they are, hopefully in the near future, returning to the school environment, that we always have safety in mind.
And is the government giving direction on some of that if we go back to school? Because right now we're closed till the end of May. Yeah,
so through you, Chair, we get information as it comes. So far, we've been informed that closure is for now up until the end of May 29th. We're awaiting more direction as to what may happen beyond that. And with that always comes some guidelines, suggestions, and some directions as to what we can do and what we should do. And we are in weekly contact with the ministry. I myself, as a director, am on a teleconference once a week. And in those meetings, we do get updates. We also get the opportunity to share great ideas like this one and ask questions about what directions we could take.
Thank you. So Kelly Rodriguez, what immediate actions is the Peel District School Board going to take to rebuild the guiding systems from the ground up?
So through you, Chair, much like the other questions that point to the directives, and I do want to qualify that we take these directives very seriously. I believe it's directive number 17 that speaks to the importance of reviewing our guidance approaches and our guidance system. We will and must engage with community and expertise to look at the appropriate ways as to how we can revise and reinvent our approaches to guidance support and guidance education so that all of our students are supported for success. So more to come.
Keep your mic on. We're going through the questions one at a time. So we're going to go to the fifth question. Ray Altia. How will the hiring, transfer, staffing, and promotion process be fixed in the Peel District School Board to create transparency and accountability? I'll leave that to you.
Through you, Chair, that's again a very important question that is aligned with our directions, and there are a number of steps as our public may see that one particular directive and series of directives is looking at our system for employment and hiring practices, and we will build on the work that we do have in place with our Journey Ahead document as we continue to move forward to look at transparent, effective approaches to hiring and staffing. I've given sort of a general statement there. I don't know if Superintendent Robertson would like to add anything to this as Superintendent of Human Resources.
Yeah, so why don't we get that from Superintendent Robertson? Would you like to add to that? You're muted. Superintendent Robertson, are you there? I've unmute you. Superintendent Robinson. Who is, I think, okay.
Hello, I'm sorry, Chair, I'm sorry, I stepped out of the room for a moment. Can you just repeat the question for me?
Yes, we'll do that. So just be a second. So I got to go back one. So how will the hiring, transfer, staffing, and promotion process be fixed in the Peel District School Board to create transparency and accountability?
So, thank you, Chair. One of the directives of the report, I believe it was Directive 26, is regarding an employee review. So the Human Resources is in the process of putting forward a business case that would secure funds to put into place the hiring of an external consultant to review all of our employment processes, including our transfer and hiring processes, to help us to have a better sense of advisable ways to approach hiring. And so we look forward to implementing that over the coming year. We anticipate we will be securing this consultant within the next month or so, and we'll look forward to the next year for the consultant to review our processes as they currently stand and then to deliver a report which we will be following.
Okay, back to questions. Where are we now? They just keep moving on me. Okay, so we're just on question 6. This is Kunal Pandya, parent of a grade 2 and is feared of losing loss of learning, and is asking, is the board looking to implement policy that enforces teachers to conference on a daily basis with groups of students if the entire class is not feasible? So I'm going to pass that over to Director Joshua.
Yeah. Through you, Chair, appreciate the importance in this question on learning and supporting our students so that there's no loss to learning. But as I have mentioned and articulated in responses to other questions, we absolutely must respect the individual circumstances of each of our families and our students with regard to access to technology and their ability to get on technology as they're in very individual circumstances, the balance of use, etc. So we've been very careful to support our students and families. As I said earlier, certainly lots of effort to connect with students wherever possible, but respecting that their individual circumstances may be ones where there isn't a set time that would be easy for every student to engage at the same time as others. And certainly we've encouraged if parents have specific issues, they should always be free to contact teachers or their principals if their children are or they feel their children are not being engaged.
Okay, good. The 7th question, we're at Sean Sims. Why isn't lived experience ability to relate to Black racialized student valued in the Peel District School Board at every level of employment?
So through you, Chair, I would say that the questioner here has assumed that the board does not value the lived experience of racialized and additionally Black students in employment decisions. There is no hiring documentation that supports this perspective. And additionally, the Journey Ahead document that I referred to, our vision from 2013, included a requirement that hiring does include information from candidates that demonstrates their knowledge and experience supporting a diverse community and workforce.
Perfect. I have a question 8. Let me just find that. From Jordan Gruwall, why does the Peel District School Board always find problems with questions when one trustee asks questions to help Black students? I think I'll take that one on. I think our commitment on March 24th, when we had our first meeting, a special meeting of the board to address the directives and receipt of the report of March 13th from the government, we all made a commitment to address the needs of all our students, especially our Black students, through all the directives. And we are here moving the ball down the field on every directive. It may not seem we're moving fast enough, but it's starting to build steam. I'm looking forward to the hiring of the superintendent of equity. Also, then we get our outreach worker. There's also another program independent of the directives. This is our graduation coaches. Then the big consulting process will start with the community. And so everything is happening for this aspect. Unfortunately, we're at the beginning part and we don't know the answers. We have to start with that big consulting process with our community. And when that happens, we'll start putting things in place and actions in place to support all our students as well as our marginalized Black students that were identified through the directives and report. Okay, we'll move back to, that was question 8, so we'll move back to question 9. Eduarda Rodriguez, why has almost nothing except for rewording the directives been done over a month and a half since the report directors have released publicly? So if you would have listened earlier today at our 9.1, also listened to our meeting of April 15th, also our meeting of May 24th, we've actually taken a lot of actions. What I'm going to do is just go to my folder, which I have all the actions we've taken, and we'll go through them. So, I have my list here of things that I refer to. I hope I do. Where is it? It's lost. It's always here. Here it is. So, first of all, most importantly, please go to our website under Trustees. There's a section on the left called Directives. There's a chart there to talk about things that we've completed. So it's an excellent document. So what have we done today? So the mediation person has been hired. Mediation started last week and interviews started. So that's been great. Directive 2. All trustees are now off any hiring panel that we previously were on, and we've made commitment and passed a motion to that, done in the March 24th meeting. On the March 24th meeting, we suspended all Integrity Commissioner complaints and investigations until the Directive 1 has been completed on mediation. On April 17th, we submitted, the mediator has been hired, and as I said, she started her work last week. The parliamentarian, Directive 5, was started last Monday and is moving ahead, and she has to, the person has to deliver the report, first report on June 1st. Then on the Directive 8, Directives of Appraisal, which was required to be done by May 18th, but we submitted after the meeting, or on April 17th, that we actually have hired the third-party expert for the director's appraisal. We also have done other directives. Whoops, I'll just finish these questions. The 15 minutes is up. I'll pass it over to the director, who will go through his items that as administration. But I must make it clear, these are the starting points. The real heavy lifting, big directives start with the hiring of the superintendent, the outreach person, the community consulting, and then we can put the plan and process in place to do what the directors want. All part of the time basis of the directives, and we'll move forward. So, Director Joshua, do you want to add your items?
Thank you, actually, and through you, Chair, I think you mentioned a number of pieces in terms of upcoming hiring, but in terms of these initial stages of operation, as per the directive and timeline, we have submitted, albeit a draft to the ministry as required, of what a consultation plan will look like to engage our community as we move to develop an anti-racism policy. So that draft of a communication and consultation plan has been submitted, and we will be, as of tomorrow, submitting a draft of the plan to engage our community in a de-streaming pilot plan and implementation in the coming days. So those are two specific actions, along with the number of things that Chair McDonald has mentioned with regard to hiring the appropriate staff that we need to have in place to move forward.
I also forgot the apology. Directive 5. I skipped over that off my list. If I'm correct, Directive 8? 13. Directive 13, the apology was also submitted, I think, on April 16th. So that's our 15 minutes. What we'll do is as we said, we'll respond to the other questions that we've got in email and respond to those. Completing our public question period, we're going to now move on to the completion of our meeting. So, going back to start, there's no further business, so I'm going to ask Trustee Green, do you put on the floor the adoption of the in-committee report? Trustee Davies, do I get you to second that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Thank you. I will ask for Trustee Cameron to put that to the motion, or to adjourn the meeting on the floor.
I will. Motion to adjourn.
Trustee Benjamin, would you second that? Trustee Benjamin, would you second that? Trustee Lawton?
I will if you won't.
Okay, second by Trustee Lawton. All those in favor of the meeting, say aye.
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 Thank you. Everyone have a safe night, keep safe, and we appreciate you tuning in from around the world. Take care. Good night.